councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
Either you are with us, or you are with the terrorists.
But I also believe that a lot of gun owners would agree that AK-47s belong in the hands of soldiers, not in the hands of criminals.
Guns will be taken. No one will be able to be armed. We have to take all guns.
For many of the police and guard troops, it is an uncomfortable job to do this in an American city.
Global governance at last. Is it one world? The central bankers in charge. But aren't we all just living and dying for what the central banks do?
As for me, give me liberty or give me death!
The answer to 1984 is 1776.
Welcome to the INFOWARS Nightly News. It's Wednesday, October 23rd, 2013, and here are our top stories.
Tonight, a military litmus test to fire on Americans. Alex Jones reports. Then, a teen with a toy gun is killed by authorities. And John McAfee hacks into the next episode of Brothers in Arms. That's next on the INFOWARS Nightly News.
Oh, it's so trendy. Oh, it's so trendy. Alex Jones is deeply racist. Stand behind the Boston bombing. Deeply trendy.
The Obama administration is in crisis. After failing to deliver war for his Saudi and Israeli masters, now it looks like he's not going to be able to deliver the kind of corporate profits that his corporate masters want with Obamacare. First, the war news. Saudi Arabia severs diplomatic ties with the U.S. over response to conflict in Syria. Now, that was the headline from the Daily Mail. Actually, the article says that the family is threatening a rift, the royal family. That's Prince Bandar bin Sultan. He's angry that the U.S. failed to act effectively against Syrian President Assad and angry that he failed to back Saudi support for Bahrain when it crushed an anti-government revolt in 2011. Now, if you remember, it was CNN that censored Amber Lyons' report about that Bahrain revolt, and it was also a reporter from AP that got fired when she reported that Prince Bandar had supplied nerve gas to Syrian rebels in that August 21st attack that they tried to use as a cause to go to war here in the U.S. unsuccessfully. Also remember that Fox News has massive investment from the House of Saud. Now, it's not that Obama has taken a principled stand to the Saudis. It's just that he hasn't been able to deliver, just like he hasn't been able to deliver on Obamacare. The House of Saud is banking on controlling public opinion through the news media outlets of CNN, AP, and Fox, the corporate media. Now, another day, and it's another country that's angry with the U.S. about NSA spying revelations. This time, it's France and Mexico. The U.S. is hit by a new spying row amid anger in France and Mexico, reporting from Le Monde. They say that over 70 million phone communications in France were intercepted over just 30 days. Hollande told Obama that it's incredible that an allied country like the United States at this point goes as far as spying on private communications that have no strategic justification, no justification on the basis of national defense. This is the kind of damage that the U.S. government and the NSA is angry about from Snowden's revelations. It isn't that the terrorists suddenly learned that they were being snooped on. They knew that. They knew that they were being followed. They knew that the U.S. was trying to get information on them. What's new is that the allies of America and all the citizens of the world, as well as American citizens, realize that the NSA is spying on everyone. What's new is the damage that's being done as people realize that we have a criminal, paranoid, and conspiratorial U.S. government. Now, Everett Dirksen once said, "A billion here, a billion there, pretty soon we're talking about real money." Well, you know, we're not talking about a real website when the federal government spends $634 million on healthcare.gov and we don't get anything at all that works. Now, John McAfee has said we just need to scrap it and start all over. Mike Adams has pointed out the many systemic failures in it, that it's not even completely written. It's got a lot of placeholder code in it, a lot of ipsum lorem type of things that you see throughout the code, as well as a bad architecture. And look at the amount of money that's been spent on this. They were originally budgeted to have $94 million. That was suddenly tripled in April of this year to $300 million, and then it was doubled again about the time it rolled out to over $600 million, and we still don't have anything that works. Now we're told it's going to be fixed with a tech surge. Now, I guess they're just going to throw more programmers and more money out of it and just try to get it to work that way. They need to look at a book that's about 30 years old called The Mythical Man Month, and they pointed out very clearly that if you're talking about technology and programming, if you add 3 times the number of programmers, you don't get the project done 3 times as fast. Usually it's going to take more time. Now, they were questioning Carney about this yesterday at a press conference, and they were asking him things like, well, now that you're going to do this tech surge, what's your estimate on how much money it's really going to take? How long is this going to take? And he pushed back and said, well, the budget for this is something that's housed over at HHS, so I would refer you to them. Take a look at this press conference and how he responds and how it ends.
Address your question to HHS. I don't have that information. I don't, and this is an operation being run by HHS. Again, all of this information is part of, all of this is about the Affordable Care Act, which is a law that was passed and signed and upheld by the Supreme Court in order to expand and improve insurance coverage for the American people. So,
I'm just saying, should they provide that?
Well, again, I would refer you to HHS about what information they have and what they're able to provide.
Have White House officials watched anyone without insurance go through the website trying to help this situation?
Couldn't we have a rep just come to the press briefing?
Well, while Carney pushed the responsibility off to HHS, Kathleen Sebelius, the head of HHS, was in denial.
Waiting is not really an option. People can sign up on the website, at the call center, in person. We have people signing up each and every day. We just want to make sure that the website works smoothly for everybody.
Notice she said waiting isn't an option. People are signing up every day. Now, she was pressed by Sanjay Gupta from CNN in an exclusive interview, how many people have signed up? And of course, he could never pin her down on a real answer. He also asked her about when she knew about the problems. And she said, well, the first couple of days after it went live on October 1st, he said, but not before that? And she said, no, sir. In other words, they did absolutely no testing on this before they put it out. And as Mike Adams has pointed out, they have a lot of placeholder code in there, a lot of stuff where it will never work. It's simply a sham website that they spent $634 million on. Now, I think what they've done with the barricades when they shut everything down was really kind of an unintentional metaphor for what's going on with Obamacare. They took something where people had free and open access, and they went out of their way to obstruct it, just so that they could empower the people at the centralized government. And whenever they centralize everything, what they do is they create bottlenecks. We see this over and over again when FEMA goes into a disaster area and all relief has to flow through it. Basically, the people are cut off. Very different from when it's a smaller disaster and people are able to help each other. And as Kurt Nimmo pointed out in his article, this is pure fascism. He said this is fascism at its most advanced stage. To be forced to buy from transnational insurance companies, making profits hand over fist. As Mussolini noted before the partisans strung him up, fascism is the merging of state and corporations. Thus, Obamacare is fascism written large. Once again, we have yet another failed government program because it's not delivering what it was promised. But over and over again, we see that the failure is really only a failure to understand what these programs are really about. Obamacare is really about corporate welfare. It's not about providing health care, or even certainly not affordable health care. In the same way that you have to understand what the Department of Education is about, what the TSA is about, and what FEMA is about. It's yet another one of those programs. Finally, today we have a tragedy in California, just the sort of thing that we had the Open Carry Rally March in San Antonio about. We had a young 13-year-old boy carrying a toy rifle shot dead by the police when he refused to put it down, according to them. There's no witnesses. We don't know exactly what happens, but they said that they told him over and over again to put the rifle down. This is why we had the rally in San Antonio. The open carry movement is trying to dispel the irrational fear that people have about guns. especially the fear that cops have, these armed and dangerous Barney Fifes. Now, at the open carry rally in San Antonio, Alex Jones and Anthony Gucciardi encountered the chief of police there at San Antonio and questioned him and one of his deputies about whether or not they would confiscate arms from citizens if told to do so by the government. Would they obey their oath of office? It's a very important question, and it's one that we have an answer from a Navy SEAL about right after this break, so stay tuned.
Why is nascent iodine so important?
Nascent iodine is so important because it goes directly to the thyroid. It's not bonded to a salt, which means it doesn't have to be broken down, and it's the most usable form. It's what the body uses. It's what the body is designed to use. If you have low energy levels, if you have pains, if you have thyroid problems, if you don't feel up to par, well, they've proven now that the fluoride and a lack of iodine causes a decreased IQ because you have all this stuff that builds up inside your system and builds up and builds up. And that's why some people, when they start taking iodine, will have what's called a Herxheimer reaction or a detoxification reaction. But that's a good sign. That means you're detoxifying all that fluoride buildup, the mercury buildup in there, the bromine buildup in your system, and the chlorine buildup in your system. You don't want those things. All of those things have been proven as carcinogens. That's one of the reasons prostate cancer is on the rise, too, is because prostate takes up iodine. And the men that are lacking iodine causes the prostate to become cystic and causes the prostate to swell and eventually leads to prostate cancer. There's been an extreme rise in polycystic ovarian disease, PCOS, with women, fibrocystic breast disease, because iodine is stored in the breast tissue, the ovaries, the prostate glands in men. It's utilized by every single cell in the body.
Why does this almost taste good compared to other iodine that tastes horrible? That's because it's real iodine atomic form.
We wanted something that's going to go straight into the bloodstream and straight into the thyroid gland. We wanted to put it in a vegetable glycerin base. That's a USP kosher certified vegetable glycerin base. And that product is not tested on animals, it's vegan friendly, it's gluten free, it's GMO free.
Of all the things I've done, nascent iodine was just absolutely amazing. So we developed with Dr. Group a double strength, low price. InfoWarsLife.com, Survival Shield, the atomic nascent iodine, available right now.